It has now been a year since Vladimir Putin began a new chapter in world history with his invasion of Ukraine. The plan was to overrun Ukraine's military within 10 days, occupy the country, arrest or kill the government, and then annex the state in its entirety by the summer. That plan has been a spectacular failure. More than 100,000 Russian troops are dead or wounded, Ukraine is winning the war, and Putin could be the one that falls from power. Here, we look back on the most significant moments of the war so far. Russia began its invasion with a huge missile bombardment of Ukraine's military bases, command posts, and ammo dumps. Extraordinary footage captured on the very first day showed missiles raining from the skies as Putin's commanders tried to stop Kyiv's war machine before it could get started. The barrage was largely successful. Ukraine's anti-aircraft defences were knocked out of action, its communications scrambled, and its air bases destroyed, though the aircraft had evacuated hours earlier. As the dust from the bombs settled, Russia ordered almost 200,000 men across the border, with the main thrust headed from Belarus straight towards the Ukrainian capital. Russia's plan to win a quick victory hinged on rapidly seizing the capital Kyiv, and to do this they needed to capture an airfield just to the north of the city at Hostomel. If Russia could take the runway at that airfield intact, it could be used to land thousands of troops who would then overrun the city's defences and claim it for the Kremlin. On the first day of fighting, 20 helicopters carrying hundreds of Russia's elite VDV paratroopers were dispatched to get the job done. What followed was a vicious, days-long battle that saw dozens of Russia's best-trained and equipped troops wiped out. Though Russia did eventually take Hostomel, by that time Ukraine's air defences were back online, and the airfield was so badly damaged it could not be used. Had this battle gone the other way, the outcome of the war could have been very different. Russia believed a quick victory was possible because the Ukrainian people wouldn't resist the invasion. Putin had convinced himself that Ukrainians wanted to be part of Russia again. 2 moments from the first day of war proved him to be badly mistaken. The first came when Russia's Black Sea flagship, the Moskva, ordered troops stationed on Snake Island to surrender. Staring down the barrels of the warship's formidable missile launchers, the soldiers gave a gutsy reply: "Russian warship, go f*** yourself." It became a Ukrainian battle cry. The second came from Volodymyr Zelensky as the US offered to evacuate him from Kyiv as Russian forces prowled the capital looking to kill him. The Ukrainian president replied, "I need ammunition, not a ride." Though he has given many inspiring speeches since, that remark came at exactly the right moment. When Ukrainian courage could have faltered, he made sure it stood firm. Russia's assault on Kyiv soon failed, and Putin's generals ordered a retreat, leaving behind plentiful evidence of horrifying war crimes. In early April, Ukrainian troops moved into the town of Bucha and were greeted by the sight of civilian bodies lying in the streets, some with their hands bound behind their backs. Soon, mass graves were uncovered containing the bodies of hundreds of locals massacred by occupying soldiers. Survivors recounted tales of torture, rape, and summary execution by Putin's men. In some cases, local officials or government workers were targeted. In others, people suspected of having links to the military were rounded up. Many were killed at random. In total, 458 people were murdered in Bucha, and images of those atrocities helped galvanize Western support to send more and better weapons to Kyiv. As the world reeled from the discoveries in Bucha, Ukraine went looking for revenge and found it when it managed to sink Russia's Black Sea flagship, the Moskva. The very same ship that was told to go f*** yourself on the first day of the war was sent to the bottom of the sea by Ukrainian Neptune missiles on April 14th. Drones are thought to have distracted the ship before the sea-skimming rockets smashed into the hull. Hundreds of sailors are thought to have died. It was a huge propaganda win for Ukraine off the back of one of the war's darkest moments. As fighting switched to the east of Ukraine, Russia began a slow and bloody march across the fields of the Donbas, obliterating everything in its path with artillery. Inch by inch, Ukraine lost ground, also losing many men in the process. But Russia was also made to pay dearly for each yard gained. In mid-May, an attempt to cross the Bilorivka River went disastrously wrong and saw an entire company wiped out. Putin's commanders were attempting to cross the river in secret to outflank Ukrainian forces in Lysychansk and capture the strategically important city. But their plan was discovered, and the bridge crossing, along with dozens of tanks and hundreds of troops, were obliterated with artillery. Russia did eventually capture Lysychansk, but perhaps the biggest prize of its Donbas campaign was claimed 130 miles to the south, in Mariupol. The city had been targeted once before, during Russia's 2014 invasion, but Russia was forced back by the Azov battalion and had been plotting revenge ever since. Mariupol was quickly surrounded and by early March was under siege, cut off from food, water, electricity and reinforcements. Against all the odds, the soldiers of Azov and some Marines managed to hold out for 83 days, including a last-ditch defense inside the Azovstal steelworks, before finally surrendering on May 16th. Hundreds were taken to prison camps in occupied Donbas, likened to concentration camps. Dozens have been traded back as prisoners since then. Dozens more are thought to have died in a fire at one of the camps. Many are still in captivity, their fates unknown. Taking Mariupol has so far proved to be the high point of Russia's war. Not long after, its Donbas offensive ground to a halt. Then, in September, it rapidly went into reverse. Ukrainian troops stationed in Kyiv launched a surprise counterattack east out of the city, successfully breaking through Russian defensive lines and causing an all-out rout. In just a few days of fighting, hundreds of square miles were liberated, along with valuable caches of ammunition, tanks, artillery and other vehicles. Weeks later, more good news followed. After months of hard fighting near the city of Kherson, Russia had decided to retreat. Ukrainian troops rolled in unopposed to scenes of jubilation. The only regional capital captured by Putin's men since February was back under Kyiv's control. Soon after Kherson was liberated, winter descended on Ukraine and brought with it a stalemate in the fighting. Heavy battles have been continuing around the city of Bakhmut in Donbas, with scenes likened to the First World War. And while Russia has managed to capture the city of Soledar, it has failed to achieve a breakthrough. Both Russia and Ukraine appear to be saving their strength, training up recently mobilized men into armies with the aim of striking a knockout blow in spring offensives. Ukraine's top commander, Valery Zaluzhny, expects Putin to mount another attack on Kyiv, perhaps joined by troops from close ally Belarus. Kyiv has understandably refused to give away details of its own plans, but many expect an assault in the south towards Mariupol. While much about the future of Ukraine remains uncertain, one thing seems for sure: this war is a long way from being over. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.